All right, good morning. I am Jim Dennington, a retired Sergeant Major and one of 19 California Army Survivor Outreach Coordinators here in California. I want to open by welcoming our honored Gold Star families who are here with us today. I also want to recognize the elected officials, military leadership, and community leaders that are present, and we are very grateful to all of you that made it a priority to attend today. However, today, the VIPs in the room are the service members on the memorial around us and the family members and friends in attendance that love them. At this time, I'd like to welcome Joanne Drake, Chief Administrative Officer of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation. They have graciously opened their doors to host this event.
Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Mrs. Reagan and the Board of Trustees of the Ronald Reagan Presidential Foundation, I want to thank all of you for coming to the Reagan Library this morning. It is truly an honor for us to host this extraordinary exhibit and to have such a distinguished group here today. Before we get too far into the program, would you please join me in thanking the Patriot Guard Riders who are here today honoring our Gold Star families with their walkway of flags. I believe it is very fitting that we are here at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library for this event. I've had the privilege of working for President Reagan since 1984, and if he were here, I know that President Reagan would be very moved to see all of you. He would tell us that there was nothing that gave him more pride as president, and certainly as an American, than to be in the presence of the men and women who wear the uniform of this country. At the same time, the president would also tell us that nothing was harder than the realization that hit him on the day of his first inauguration, that he was now Commander-in-Chief and therefore responsible for putting America's sons and daughters into harm's way. If he were here, and as he did on a number of occasions as president, he would want to speak to every mother or father, every wife or husband, every son or daughter, every grandmother, every grandfather, every aunt, uncle, cousin, or best friend. And he would tell you all, individually and in person, that he is grateful for your extraordinary sacrifice, for your bravery. He'd tell you that he wishes we didn't ever have to gather for these types of events, but that your sons and daughters, America's fallen heroes, will not be forgotten, and that in spite of your terrible loss, he sees your courage as a tribute to their service, to this nation, and to our people. So on his behalf, I welcome you to our Hill. Please consider it your home while you're here, and let us know if there's anything we can do for you. Please plan to see our museum and all of our exhibits. We are privileged to be able to host this exhibit as a tribute to all of you. And please know that like every American, we share in your pride for California's fallen heroes. Thank you.
At this time, I'd like to read a quote that is on the memorial wall from President Ronald Reagan. "Freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it on to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on from them to do the same. Or one day we will spend our sunset years telling our children what it once was like in the United States when men were free." At this time, I'd ask if you are able to please stand during the posting of the colors by the President Ronald Reagan Detachment of Marine Corps League, followed by the national anthem, which will be sang by the Abbey Road Jazz Choir from Santa Susana High School, and please remain for the standing of the Pledge of Allegiance.
So proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free, and the home of the brave, home of the brave.
Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Post the colors.
Post. Touch. Ready, two. And salute. Ready, two. Ready, face. Over. Fight. Face. Step to the rear. Fight. Out.
Please be seated. Thank you, Abbey Road Jazz Choir. That was very beautiful. You guys did an outstanding job. Thank you. At this time, we'd like to welcome Sue Pollard, National Chaplain of Gold Star Mothers, to lead us in the invocation.
Good morning. I just want to tell you all what an honor and a privilege it is for me to be here with other California Gold Star families. I look forward to visiting with all of you sometime today, and we could share stories of our children. Please bow your heads and let's pray. Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful and blessed day that you have given to us. Lord, I want to thank you for all the people who have worked so hard on this memorial to honor our children. Yvonne and Bill Williams, who took a dream in 2011 to create an exhibit for the fallen in every state, and now are making that dream a reality. You know the stories in this room, all the hardships, the loss, the joys that we all have gone through and have overcome on this journey that you have given us. This is our new normal, and Lord, we can only thank you for helping us to get through each and every day. Open our hearts to hear the stories of each and every hero whose family is here today to share with us. Let us enjoy each other's company and embrace each other's sorrows. Help us to remember that you are the one and only that can get us through our days and nights. Help us to remember that you brought our children home safely to your arms. Help us to remember that our children are with you at this time, that they are happy and they are perfect once again. Forgive us, Lord, for the stories that we tell of our children that just get bigger and better each and every time we tell them. As it says in Proverbs 3, 5, and 6, help us to trust in you, Lord, with all our hearts and not depend on our own understanding, that we seek your will in all we do and wait for you to show us which path to take. Bless all these Gold Star families here today and across our country, Lord. In your very precious and holy name, amen.
Next, the co-creators of Remembering Our Fallen Photo Memorial will say a few words. Bill and Yvonne Williams have been working with the veteran community for many years now, organizing the Heartland Honor Flights out of Nebraska starting in 2008, and have been working on the Remembering Our Fallen memorials since 2010. So far, they have unveiled 13 states, California being the 14th. Please welcome Bill and his wife, Yvonne.
Good morning. We are so glad to see so many of you here today. Thank you for responding to our many letters, emails, and Facebook messages, because we wanted to make this a very personal photo memorial. We are humbled to do this mission, this work, and we hope that the exhibit honors your loved ones as you expected, that it met your expectations. Bill and I live in Omaha, Nebraska. We have 4 sons in the military, and they inspire us every day. 2 Marines and 2 soldiers. And our one son is here from Camp Pendleton. I don't know if you're around. Tom, First Lieutenant Williams, is somewhere if you want to wave, or there he is. Yeah, they're pointing to him in the back. He doesn't want the attention, but you do inspire us. We love you guys. When we first read a story, and Bill will tell about the history, one of the first thoughts I had came from my time when I was executive director at the Make-A-Wish Foundation of Nebraska. And it was my first year there, and the phone rang, and it was from the father of a young girl who had passed away a few years before that. And my coworker picked up the phone, and I heard her say, "Oh, sure, I remember you. You're Jenny's dad." And then there was a long pause, and I heard her apologize. And he said, "Please don't apologize. You just made my day. You called me Jenny's dad, and I haven't heard that for so long. It just sounded so good." And we learned that lesson, that it's very important to speak the names of someone after they've died. Our culture teaches us, don't say their name. It'll make them cry. They don't want to talk about it. It'll make them cry. That's not true. You're going to cry. But if you don't bring up their names, then we feel like they've been forgotten. And then the pain is even worse. So when we first read about a father that, and like I said, Bill will talk about that, that memory came to mind and helped inspire our vision for this exhibit. We invite you to leave notes beside your loved ones' photos if you would like. There's a table under the stairs with paper and pens, crayons for the little ones as well, and they will stay and travel with the exhibit. We will do our best to keep those with the photos. Before I turn the microphone over to Bill, I also wanted to just mention that we have 5 friends who flew from Omaha to help us set up yesterday and today, and I'd just like to introduce them. Dan Murphy is here taking photos. Peg and Paul Murphy are also here, and Josh and Michaela Trout. And if you guys would just stand or wave, I don't know if you're already standing, but we really appreciate your help and couldn't have done it without you. A lot of you probably couldn't see Josh because he's standing back there behind the stairwell on the other side, but he is the young man that came up with the concept. What we had in our heads was totally different than what Josh came up with, thankfully, and he has continued from day one to be the designer behind it all. So he touches each and every photo. Thank you.
4.5 years ago, the Omaha World Herald did a story about Lonnie Ford. Lonnie Ford is a now retired school teacher from Pender, Nebraska, lost his son Joshua in Iraq in 2006. The story was about Lonnie's concern that his son would be forgotten. Yvonne and I read the story, came up with the idea to create an exhibit of the pictures, but we didn't want it to stay in one place. We wanted it to travel from town to town. Proud to say that our first exhibit for Nebraska has been on the road every week since January 2nd of 2011, all over the state of Nebraska, been seen by thousands, is already booked every week into July. 4 years ago, Bellevue University, which is located in Omaha, came to us and they said, "We like what you do. We want to sponsor a few more states." So Yvonne and I quit our jobs and formed Patriotic Productions, and we work from home. Our corporate headquarters is the kitchen table. We now have traveling exhibits for Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Colorado, Arizona, North Dakota, Kansas, Wisconsin, Oklahoma, Texas, Georgia, Florida, South Carolina, and now California. Our goal is to complete one for every state by Memorial Day of 2016, unveil them all in Washington, D.C., and then take all of them on a national tour. Our mission is that these fallen, these men and women, will not be forgotten. We encourage you to check our website, rememberingourfallen.org, for the tour schedule. As the word spreads, we'll get more calls of folks who would like to have it to come to their community. It's going to leave here on the 8th of February and go to Oceanside, and then to Alpine, and then to Rockwell Collins, at their office building in Poway. So those are the first three. So we encourage anybody who would like to have it come to contact us, and we'll work out the details. I want to particularly thank the Reagan Library for being so very, very gracious, so helpful. I cold called them, just picked up the phone and called here. They could easily have said, no, this isn't something we're interested in, but that's not what they did. And everybody at the library says this is what President Reagan would have wanted. So we're so pleased to have it here in such a beautiful facility. We have a representative from Bellevue University who's going to say a few words. Would you please welcome Jenny Waltz? Thank you, everybody.
Good morning. As Bill said, my name is Jenny Waltz, and I am here on behalf of Bellevue University, the Office of the President, and Dr. Mary Hawkins. Unfortunately, Dr. Hawkins is unable to be here today because today is our winter commencement ceremony. And anyone who knows Dr. Hawkins knows that that would be the only thing that would keep her from coming to this event. Bellevue University has a strong heritage and connection to the military. We are located in Bellevue, Nebraska, which is just south of Omaha, 1 mile from Offutt Air Force Base. In fact, we started as Bellevue College back in 1966, created in large measure to support the men and women of the base. One of our key founders, Bill Brooks, was a hero of the Battle of Midway. He wanted to start a college where non-traditional students, military personnel, could attend classes in evenings and weekends to earn a college degree. Today, we are Bellevue University, and we continue that legacy and serve a large number of military students. Our Veterans Services Center serves student veterans and non-student veterans in our community. The university has been a major sponsor of this exhibit, Remembering Our Fallen, for several years now. We are moved by this exhibit and deepen our love and appreciation for these men and women and their selflessness and sacrifice, and by your courage when you share the stories of their lives. I am privileged and honored to be here representing Bellevue University and to work for an institution that would sponsor this exhibit. It's a bit hard not to be a little emotional, right? Thank you, Bill and Yvonne, for the hard work that you have done and do, creating and organizing this exhibit. And thank you to all active duty military and veterans for your service. I look forward to meeting and speaking with you after the presentation. Thank you.
Please help me welcome Tony DiRaimundo, father of Michael DiRaimundo, who gave the ultimate sacrifice in Iraq on January 8th, 2004.
Thank you, Sergeant Major. My name is Tony DiRaimundo, and I am a Gold Star father. And I've been very happy to lived here in Simi Valley for 30 years. We call it home, and there are a lot of people here from the local area, an awful lot of you from far away. So welcome to our part of California. It's great to have you here. I just want to clarify one thing. There was an article in the Omaha paper and also one in the Ventura County Star earlier this week talking about this event, and it said that I was a Vietnam War veteran, and I want to correct that. I did serve for 2 years during the Vietnam War. Had I been deployed to Vietnam, I would have served proudly, but the Army had other plans for me. So with all due respect to my fellow veterans who lived in hell for 13 months in Vietnam, I don't want to take credit for something that I didn't do. And I understand that, you know, it takes 7 support people for every 1 combat soldier or Marine or whatever. But I don't want to take credit for that, so let me just clear up that record. You know, I think it's interesting. We talk about remembering the fallen, and we can't forget the fallen. For most of the people in this room who are Gold Star family members, it's easy to remember the fallen simply because it's impossible to forget them. These are our sons and our daughters, our sisters, our brothers, our moms, our dads, our friends, and they're very, very special people, and I'll come into that in just a little bit. Today, though, January 31st, marks a really special day for at least 2 of the families. United States Army Sergeant Elu A. Marasandoval and United States Sergeant William M. Segura. It was on this day in 2004 that Sergeant Marasandoval was killed, and Sergeant Segura in 2007. So while no day is different, it is especially important to them, and I just want to recognize those families if they're here. But thank you for being here on this special day. There are a little over 700 pictures of U.S. military personnel who have fallen. The earliest of them is Staff Sergeant Brian Prosser, who was killed on December 5th, 2001. And the most recent, 3 months and 8 days ago, was Lance Corporal Sean P. Neal, who was killed on October 23rd, 2014. To those families, we understand the pain. It doesn't change, by the way. No amount of time will make the pain change. For those with great intentions who want to help us heal, they say, do this or do that, and in time it'll pass. You'll be okay. Sorry, you don't get over losing a child. It ain't going away. You'll learn to cope. You may learn to deal with the pain of the initial shock, but you just don't get over it. You don't get over losing a child. And I can't say that I even understand how my daughters feel because I didn't lose a sibling. I don't know how a wife or a husband feels about losing a spouse. I can't identify that, but I can identify with all of you who lost a child. It's very different. So how do we remember the fallen? Well, this is a great example of what our community is capable of. This facility opened its arms. These 2 wonderful people did this, and they weren't Gold Star family members, but they wanted to remember the fallen, and they did a great job of doing it. Communities do it. Here in Simi Valley, not uncommon of many towns across America, we put up banners with the names of every member of the U.S. military who served that wants to be up there. And I think it's a wonderful thing. I'm sure there's over 500 of them now. You know, when we first started the program about 5 years ago, started with about 250, and I know Simi Valley is running out of lampposts because we don't have too many left that don't have a banner on it. Small towns, especially smaller towns, you can rename streets. And so who cares about Main Street? Why don't we call it Sergeant John Brown Avenue or U.S. Veterans Boulevard or something like that. There are a lot of things that can be done. But then God gives us angels, and two of those angels are Bill and Yvonne for having done what they did with no personal interest and no personal involvement. They're not Gold Star family parents, but they do this for all of us so that it is impossible to forget them. In Simi Valley, God gave us another angel. She's going to hate me for doing this. She doesn't know I'm going to do it. But she's sitting right over here, and her name is Paula Cornell, and she started an organization called For the Troops. Started it back in 2006. Yes, please do. For the Troops sends care packages to our active duty military that are deployed mostly in combat areas, but throughout the world, but predominantly recently in Iraq and Afghanistan. And it started out same as Bill and Yvonne in their garage and in their kitchen, filling up these care packages, and we've now sent over 120,000 of them. Yes. She didn't have a son or a daughter. It's a great story. I got to tell you, she's going to hate me even more for this. That's good. She keeps asking me to do things. Now if she doesn't like me anymore, she won't ask me. But she's having a conversation with her husband, Jim, one day, and she says, "You didn't brush your teeth today." And he looked at her, and he said, "Yeah, so what? I was in Vietnam. I didn't brush my teeth for a year." She said, "Ew, that's yucky. Why not?" He says, "Well, first of all, I was trying to stay alive. And secondly, I didn't have a toothbrush or toothpaste." And she thought about that. And she thought about the 19, 18, 20-year-olds that are over in Iraq and Afghanistan and thinking, what are they missing? What do they not have that they would like to have? And so she started this organization called For the Troops, and today we send about 2,000 packages every month, and it's 100% all volunteer organization. Nobody makes 10 cents on it. We beg, borrow, and, well, we don't steal, but we beg and borrow everything that goes into these care packages, and we raise money for the postage to send it over to the APOs. But these are the angels that God gives us to help and support our military. For every fallen, there are 10 times as many combat wounded. And these are from relatively easy gunshot wounds to some of the most horrific types of wounds that a military person can endure, whether it's losing arms and legs, sometimes both, to severe head trauma, to burns, to IEDs, that you survive. And if you survive, you're not one of the fallen, thank God, maybe, maybe not. But I think if our fallen can come back and say, what can you do to honor us and remember us? It would be to take care of our active duty military and our veterans, because they really gave everything. They're all volunteers. We don't have a draft anymore. To the best of my knowledge, the judges don't say you've got two choices, you can go to jail or go in the Army. They don't do that anymore. So these are all volunteers that do it for love of country, for patriotism, and for pride, and for helping to protect America's way of life and our freedoms. And they go out onto the front lines or some god-awful, god-forsaken place in a country they'd never heard of before, and they're willing to put their lives on the line. and some of them take fire, and some of them get hit. At least half of them have PTSD, whether they're getting it treated or not. Our fallen would say, take care of these people. Pay them better. When they come back, if they're physically unfit and they're being let out of the service, well then pay them a salary while they rehabilitate, while they learn new job skills. I love that there are organizations like the Wounded Warrior Project and whatnot, but I ask myself, why did they have to be there? Why doesn't the Veterans Administration, the United States military, the United States government take it upon themselves to simply provide all these things to these terribly wounded people? We should be doing whatever it takes to get these people back to good health and to make them part of American society again, because they gave us the ability to be here in freedom and comfort. They did it. So here's what I'm going to ask you to do, because I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do this in about 5 minutes. Go home, pick up the phone, write a letter, talk to your congressman, your senator, and your president, and tell them, first of all, you work for me, I don't work for you. Secondly, you have to make our military and our U.S. veterans this country's #1 priority, and you do it with deeds, not words, and money. This isn't political. I'm not a political guy. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat, Republican, conservative, liberal, I don't care what it is. That's who you want to honor our fallen, that's how you can honor them. By taking care of those that wear the uniform and who have worn the uniform. I think if we do that, the fallen will be very, very proud of us. Thank you very much. Color Guard Commander, retire the colors.
Go ahead and be seated, please.
Time. Right. Good order. Oh. Oh. Ready. Oh. And salute. Ready. 2. Retrieve. Come. Ready. 2. Face. Outward. March.
Please place your hand on your hearts for playing of taps. Please remain standing for the playing of God Bless America.
God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with the light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home, sweet home. God bless America, my home, sweet home.
Out. Hey. Oh, word. March. Oh, forward. Oh, forward. Stop.
Please be seated. Bill had asked me, I wrote this whole script and went through everything, and some of you might be wondering why I was asked to be the Master of Ceremonies. It's not because I'm a retired combat veteran or a retired Sergeant Major. It's because of what I do now. And I am a Survivor Outreach Coordinator for the Army. And what do I do? What do we do, the 19 people that we have here in California? We help support Gold Star families. But we're not limited only to Army. We are an outreach that will accompany and help any branch of service. Family members that need help with the VA, that have questions about schooling for their children, or benefits that are afforded to them that they might not be aware of. So I would ask you, we have a table upstairs. There's a couple other representatives here with myself. If you see us, get our card and allow us to afford you the opportunity to help you as well. This concludes the formal portion of the ceremony. We now welcome you to spend time visiting the memorial. It will remain here in the library through next Saturday, February 7th. Additional dates were already mentioned by Bill. Thank you very much. And we want to thank everybody for attending today's events and enjoy it. It's a God blessed. And thank you, Susan and Bill, Yvonne. Thank you.